Hello and welcome to episode number 66 of the Daily Sale. I was going to do a bingo number call there, but I'm better than that. I'm not going to do that. Episode number 66 of the Daily Sales Message, where each and every single day, for at least the last 66 days in a row now, I've provided you with a piece of simple and actionable sales advice that's designed to help you feel more confident and or sell more stuff. That's why we're here. I want you to feel more confident. I want you to sell more stuff. That's my goal. If you're new around here, my name is James Newell. I teach people how to sell for a living. It's what I do. And for me, there's two distinct components that we have to consider. The first one is having a clear sales message. People have to understand precisely what it is that you're offering. And the second one is having what I call selling confidence, the ability to be relaxed and comfortable and confident in a selling situation and not petrified like most people are, because selling and sales, it can be really daunting, emotionally charged, horrible stuff, particularly if you get rejected, you find it difficult talking about the price, etc. I understand, I've been there, I've overcome all of those problems, but I face them too, and know just how hard it can be, particularly if you're starting out. So in this episode of the Daily Sales Message, episode number 66, I'm talking about a 3-word phrase that I use often if I'm just not sure if I'm spending my time correctly. I've gone to a networking event online or in person. I'm talking to people, I'm sending emails, I'm outreaching, connecting, etc. And maybe I'm not getting much back. Maybe it doesn't feel like it's going very well. How do I keep my momentum going? How do I keep my confidence? How do I keep the faith in what I'm doing? These 3 simple words, and it's a concept, and it's called opening invisible doors. Opening invisible doors. When you speak to somebody new, when you go to an event, when you DM or cold email or cold call somebody, you are opening invisible doors. You don't know where that thing is going to end, and the universe is much bigger than just you and the person that you're contacting. And this is a little bit like that 7 degrees of separation or 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon kind of thing, where if you go to a networking event, you might meet somebody who then introduces you to somebody who introduces you to somebody who becomes your biggest, best client ever. And there we go. And to be honest with you, that's one of the things that happened to me. I used to be a member of BNI. I met a member from another chapter. I worked for their business. They recommended me to somebody. I didn't work for them straight away. About a year later, they came back. We worked together. And then I've ended up working for their clients also. And it all came about because I visited this other BNI chapter. They're called chapters. It's a long story. This other BNI group, this chapter, on a cold and wet and windy Tuesday or Wednesday morning. Not sure. And I was stood outside thinking, what am I doing with my life? It's early. Why am I here? But I was opening invisible doors, and it turned out to be one of the best things that I did for my business as a whole. So opening invisible doors reminds you to stay confident, stay optimistic. All of the action you're taking, you don't know where it's going to end up. You are opening these invisible doors, and that's really exciting. And let's just focus on that. If I'd have just, at the time, I was just focusing on it's cold and wet and windy, it's early, I don't want to be here, I didn't feel too great. If I was able to focus visible doors, anything can happen, there we go. I could be meeting my biggest ever client, which is what this client actually became. I would have felt differently about it, and it certainly would have kept me going. So, don't know where the quote came from, so you have to excuse me. I can't credit the person. It's definitely not one of mine. I'm not taking credit for this, but it is one of those phrases that's out there. The next time you feel demotivated, demoralized, not sure, you feel like what you're doing is a waste of time. Is it worth it? What am I doing here? Like I was asking myself, what am I doing in my life? When you get to that level of philosophizing, it's probably a word, philosophizing what you're up to, just remember, I'm opening invisible doors. And another great phrase that you can keep in mind, which we covered on a previous episode of the Daily Sales Message, is that not all progress is visible. You can't see behind the scenes people making phone calls and sending emails and having conversations where they're saying, hey, you know that James Newell, he's really cool, you should work with him. Or you know that James, he's got a podcast, you should check it out, I think you'd like it. Just because you can't see those conversations happening doesn't mean they're not happening. But it's difficult for you to keep the faith in the process of doing what you're doing. So remember, not all progress is visible, first of all. And most days we're opening invisible doors. We don't know where they're going to lead, but that's kind of half the fun, isn't it? That's it for this episode of the Daily Sales Message. Tomorrow is you versus everyone. I want to talk to you through this concept tomorrow. Episode 67, you versus everyone. You're going to have to tune in tomorrow for me to actually explain what I'm going on about, because, hey, I've got to tease you into each and every episode. If you want to know what's happening there, it's called an information gap, so I'm alluding to hopefully, cool and exciting information I've got, and all you need to do to close the gap is check out my podcast tomorrow. It's something if you're in TV and film genre, things like that, where they leave you on a cliffhanger, they leave you wanting more. It's a good way of getting people coming back. So, if you want to come back tomorrow, you versus everyone, I'll explain that to you. Otherwise, thanks for listening. I appreciate your time and attention. Now go out there and open some invisible doors.